Are live. We are live. Let's see who is on. Where are you at? If you're on, just pop into the chat. Tell me where you're at in the world. I'm coming at you from a home office in the desert of Phoenix, Arizona. And I've had several cups of coffee, so I am pretty darn hyper. So let's kick this thing off. This is a Q&A, so hit me in the comments with some questions. I could just go right into a topic, but I wanted this to be about you and not me trying to come up with something clever to say. Let's see who we got on here. I'm trying to see you guys. All right. While we're getting everything kicked off, I will start this thing off with a little topic because I recently did a video, and I'll link to it in the description afterwards and probably in one of the comments. But I did a video about getting found. And this is really important to any kind of business. Doing what it takes to be found as opposed to trying to go out and find customers. A lot of the stuff that you need to do when you're just getting started, which is like everything. Everybody asks, like, what one thing should I do? And the answer is do all the things. You really need to just go out and bang things out because you really don't know when you're just getting started. You really don't know the one thing that's going to work for you. It's something that I do when I'm consulting on marketing is the clients that I'll have will start a spreadsheet of all the different marketing channels that are available to them in their market. And then we'll start testing them. The easy ones we'll test first, like Google AdWords. We'll test Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We'll test those things first, but then we start testing other types of advertising, like text ads inside of an email newsletter. Strangely, that is still a powerful way of doing marketing, especially if you're in a really small niche, because you can get people who are avidly reading a topic and you put a text ad in there, especially if the offer is fantastic. And that one works really well. But there's so many different ways. One of my clients, he was asking, like, how am I going to grow my business? And we started going through the marketing channels. And how do we get the offer in front of people so that they raise their hand and say, yes, that is for me? And we went with direct mail. So many people have walked away from direct mail over the years, and direct mail is the way my client is getting a ton of business. So that's a fantastic way. But I'll throw in this caveat. For his business, I'm pretty sure if he could figure out a way to market to his particular ideal client, if he could figure out a way to do that with Facebook ads and Google AdWords, then he would grow so much faster. The problem is his target ideal client is really hard to find online, really hard to identify, because the only thing that they have in common is their job title, and they don't use their work email for all their social media. So tying the two together has proven very difficult. So if he can figure that out, like, his business will skyrocket. Because doing direct mail is actually expensive. And so that's the thing. It's like he pours money into it, waits for the money to come back, and then pours more money back in. So that's the lesson that I really wanted to share that we didn't go into in the video, is that you don't know what is going to work when you're doing marketing until you do it. So you have to ship your marketing messages. You have to create content. You have to do all these different things, and you track them. Make a spreadsheet. Start tracking what's working, what's not working, and you need to give it a long time. You can't go at something, go, oh, I did a blog post and I didn't get any clients. Like, that's not how blogging works. So if you pick a type of marketing, say content marketing, blogging, then you need to do a year of blogging. You need to dedicate a year of blogging to that. All right, now questions have finally started popping in. So I'm going to shut up and take a look at the questions. All right, Pam is in the house. A question on getting found. What have you found to be the best lead magnet for ads? There is no such thing as best lead magnet for ads, because the one thing that's best right now is probably only best in a particular market. Your particular clients may want your ideal target customer may not want a PDF. Maybe they want a video. Maybe they want a webinar. Maybe they want to come to a live workshop. An old client of mine was crushing it with live workshops, one-day workshops that, it's not technically a lead magnet because he charged $500 for it, but they'd pay $500, and out of the blue, these were not his customers. They didn't know who he was. They'd pay $500 and come spend an entire day, and then they would become clients. So there is no such thing as the perfect lead magnet. You need to know, what is it that your market really desires? What's their biggest problem? Number one biggest problem, and make a lead magnet around that. And the thing is, you can't solve that number one biggest problem in a lead magnet. Not because you don't want to, it's just because problems are complex. And if it's not a complex problem, it's not their number one biggest problem. So we don't really know what it's going to be. We give them one solution, like part of the solution, the best part. This guy, Eben Pagan, years ago, he did a pseudonym of David D'Angelo for Double Your Dating. A lot of alliteration there. But one of the things that he learned was that in their lead magnets, they would take the concept of useful but incomplete. And so like one of the things for their dating lead magnets was how to tell if she wants you to kiss her. And then it actually taught you how to figure that part out. Well, how do you get to that stage? That's the part that wasn't covered in that lead magnet. But that lead magnet was very powerful in attracting their target market. And then that target market was like, okay, I'll buy your course so I can get all the stuff that leads up to the moment of finding out if she's ready to be kissed. So you need to do something like that. So for like my market, agencies, agency owners, what's their number one thing that they always ask about? And that is, how do I get clients? So I should create a lead magnet on how to get clients to opt in or something like that. How do I get clients to raise their hand? And I would cover just that one part of getting a prospect to raise their hand. I wouldn't cover the stuff that happens after, and I wouldn't cover the stuff that happens before, because then people would say, okay, that's an amazing, useful tip for me. Well, now how do I get people to the point of actually raising their hand? All the stuff that comes before. Well, get my course. That would be the smartest thing. So that's what you need to look for. How do you find a solution that feels very useful, something that they can actually act upon, but then they either need something before it, or they need something after, or they need something before and after, because then now you get two courses or one really big course. That's what you would do. Okay. Dustin, what's the difference between a copywriter, content writer, and somebody who writes sales copy? Is the person who specializes in sales copy way different from somebody who would write blog content? The main difference is the one who's writing a sales letter is making a lot more money than all those other people. Really good blog writers need to be very much more like a journalist. They need to be able to find the hook in the story and then craft a compelling piece of content on a deadline, and do it over and over and over again. a sales letter writer is going to specialize in finding that sales hook and is going to craft a message that attracts your ideal target customer, and they're more like a rifle, whereas the content writer is going to be more like a shotgun. They're going to spread out. So content writers need to specialize in the top of the funnel, up in the awareness area, and a sales copywriter needs to focus down at the bottom at the conversion part. People who are ready to hand over money. That's, I think, the biggest difference is where their mindset is at and what they're focused on. So if you took a sales copywriter, somebody who's integrated in conversions, and then you moved them to the top of the funnel, they may write stuff that is trying to convert people way too soon. If you take somebody who's used to writing compelling content and bring them down into the sales space, they're probably not going to get people over the hump of converting. That's just what I've seen. But a great writer is a great writer. Mostly it's in finding the hook. I'm not a great writer. I struggle at finding the hook in the things that I create. Even in my videos, it's like I struggle at like, what's the hook in this idea? Like, it's hard for me to come up with that. All right, hopefully that helped. Ahmad, thanks for your help. I am stuck on selling Google ads only to small business since several years. How can I expand to other areas of internet marketing? Why would you expand to other areas of internet marketing? If you're an expert at Google ads, just go up market. Stop working with small businesses, start working with big businesses. That's the smartest thing you could possibly do. Adding a bunch of different services is a terrible thing to do. If you can make a lot of money, if you can make a whole bunch of money doing one thing, just do that one thing. If you have to add, the only time you want to move into like a full service agency is when it makes sense and it makes your business more profitable to add multiple services. When you're small, adding more services only causes more headache. Having one service and being very good at it and then taking that service to the people who can give you the most money is the smart thing to do. Don't start adding a bunch of services, because just adding more services does not make you more valuable. Straight up, adding more services does not make you more valuable. It does not make you a specialist. People want experts. People want an authority on that expertise, somebody who's the best in the world at it. So if you're stuck working with small businesses doing AdWords, either you're not a very good expert, meaning you're not very good at AdWords, and hopefully if you're not good, get better. But then the other is your own self-worth is telling you, I can't go work with bigger companies. Fix those two things. If you're not an expert, become an expert. If your self-worth says I can't work with bigger companies, then fix that. Work on your confidence and start going after bigger clients before you ever move into other services. Okay. Hopefully I hammered that one home. That one's for everybody, not just Ahmad. Ahmed, sorry, Ahmed, my bad. You're commenting all the time and I'm screwing up your name. Okay, Thomas, what's the best way to start out as a solopreneur and not get trapped in the freelance game? And best practices to hire quality talent. In a video that I did, and hopefully I'll remember all this stuff. I should actually be taking notes. Maybe someone will comment and say, "Hey Tim, remember to put these links in." So I did a video on what it costs to hire great talent, and an average creative director in New York City is $225,000 a year. That's their average salary. So the number one thing to hiring great talent is being able to afford them. That's it. Like, if you're working with tiny, very small clients, you'll never afford great talent. You may be able to groom talent, like people who are raw, they have no skills, or they've got some skills, but they they don't have any experience, and you can groom them to serve your needs. But if they're really good, they'll leave because you can't pay them the kind of money they could make working for someone else. So you need to fix the economics of your business if you're struggling to hire great talent. You might not have that immediately, right? Because you got to figure those things out, but you need to have a plan as to how your economics are going to be fixed. If you can't fix those economics, then you'll never hire great talent. Let's see. The next part of that is about not getting trapped in the freelance game is just don't do it. Just don't get trapped. I know that sounds facetious, but everybody starts off with, I'm going to sell my own labor, and then I'll figure out how to bring in other labor. So if you have low self-worth, if you are not charging significantly, and I have a video on self-worth, that everyone sets their price based on their own personal self-worth. And if your self-worth is way down here and you set a price, well, the only thing you can do is hire people who have self-worth less than you, because that's all the money you have. You're charging $500 a month, and then you have to hire somebody who's going to work for less than you will work. That's bad business. You need to figure out, well, I'm willing to struggle and build an asset and eat ramen and live with like 12 people, but I need great talent. So I will cut back on my own lifestyle and find a way to charge a lot of money so that I can then pay great talent. So the main thing with not getting stuck is just hiring talent. Then to be able to hire the talent, you need to make sure your economics are on point. Okay, scroll down. Do you recommend selling projects with, Mark A. Do you recommend selling projects with continued consulting and proposing new value-added projects, or just client and a monthly recurring? Okay, I've got quite a few videos on this one, on this topic of monthly recurring revenue. The thing that's been going around for like a decade is just bill monthly recurring. And that's somehow a panacea to all your business problems. And unless you're a software that's critical to someone's business, that doesn't happen. Like if you sell web hosting, you can sell web hosting to somebody and they're likely to stay with you for a decade. Like I've had a HostGator account now for, 12 years or something, and I just closed it. I hadn't been using it, literally had not been using it for over a year. And I finally just closed it because the rebilling was coming up, and they're like, yeah, pay us for another 3 years. And like, I haven't even used you in over a year. So if you have a service like that, great. But the types of services we do as an agency, the only thing that can be billed monthly is either your thinking, which is what I do. I sell we call it coaching, but I sell my thinking, the consulting and coaching that I do on a monthly basis. And then labor, the things that just need to get done over and over and over again. So then there's the creative work, like when you sit down and build strategy, when you do something that requires brand new thinking, it should be done as a project. So you should have projects. You try to get a client and do multiple projects with that client over the course of years. You want to do as many projects for them as you possibly can. Then you should have a monthly recurring revenue that goes with it. So, but they're two line items. They're two line items. They are not the same line item. You don't just go monthly recurring, whatever your service is, and then do projects on top of that inside that one bill. You can't do that. Project fee, monthly recurring revenue fee for whatever it is, whether it's labor or it's like creative thinking that I sell, like the strategy stuff that I do. That's what you do. If you just do monthly recurring revenue, you will struggle. I have run into so many different agencies that have tried the monthly recurring revenue only model, and they have client churn like nobody's business. That's why you see so many of the gurus out there saying get 20 or 30 clients a month, because they know they're going to lose 18 to 28 of those every single month. So they're only getting to keep 1 or 2 of them, and their expenses balloon upwards. And so they're on this serious rat race of trying to keep their cash flow ahead of their expenses. And that's a terrible business model. Following my model, projects plus some monthly recurring revenue, you're likely to keep your client over the course of many years, and you're going to end up with a more stable business. Okay. Dustin Overbeck, same question. Plus, what's the difference with someone who also does SEO? If it's different from being a copywriter. SEO, I'm not an SEO specialist anymore. I personally have not done SEO in over a decade. So SEO has changed dramatically since then. But an SEO has to do a lot more than just write copy, and probably shouldn't write much copy at all. Maybe a really good SEO is just going to consult with your content writer, so that make sure that the content is structured properly to meet the needs of search engine optimization. That would be a better use of someone who's good at being a search engine optimist. Optimizer, I don't know, an SEO, right? So someone who's an SEO, you should buy their thinking, not their labor. Get other people to do that are specialized in the labor. So a content writer, but then get someone who's really good at SEO. And here's the thing, if they're really good at SEO, they ain't cheap. So you just want to buy their thinking because their labor is going to cost you way too much money. It's like hiring me to do your ads for you. It's going to cost you way too much money. It'd be better to hire me for my thinking and then bring somebody else in to do the actual ads, because it'll save you a lot more money. Same case here. All right. Who is John Ray? What kind of balance should exist between building a personal brand versus an agency brand? Should one precede the other? Should they be synonymous in intent, separate but related? This is something that I really want to dive into over the course of, I don't know, maybe the next year or two. Like, this is how I'm thinking about the content that I create. Your agency will grow faster if you build a personal brand. I've studied this now for over 2 years. There's a ton of examples. The grandfather of all of them being Gary Vaynerchuk, but we're not all Gary V's. But there are several other agencies that have focused on building a personal brand, and it drives a lot of business. And when I mean personal brand, it's not like what I'm doing here is the beginning of my content is all like how to run your agency and all this stuff. But as I progress, after I get this baseline knowledge onto my YouTube channel, I'm going to shift over to more of the lifestyle that I live, the way I do, just the way I do business and the way I live, and showcase like who I really am as a human being, not just be an educator. And if you focus on showcasing all the things that aren't even related to your business, some of our best content over at Contractor Dynamics, the agency I invested in, some of our best content that has ever performed for us was stuff like, hey, here's us with the team at one of the local restaurants, brew pubs, and we're having a beer together. Like, that stuff is far more interesting to your target market than here's how to do this thing in marketing. I think it's just because humans crave connection, and we also are voyeurs. We like seeing what other people are doing. That's why reality TV exploded. That's why vlogs are so popular. That's why we watch all these things, because we want to see how other people live. And sometimes as an aspiration, we want to fantasize about achieving that same thing for ourselves. If you can bring that into your personal brand, you'll grow your agency far faster. Now, this other idea, and this is one that I don't even know if I really want to share it, because I brought it up, I will, but that's doing consumer style advertising for your agency. So most agencies are all about like, here's my lead magnet, my white paper. Oh, I won this award and crap like that, really old school stuff. But if you look at marketing that and advertising that is extremely powerful, that sells billions of dollars of products, it does not look anything like the stuff being taught on how to build an agency. None of that stuff is being done. No one goes out and gets a helicopter to do aerial footage of them racing around in a Lamborghini or some car, right? Like a 1963 Porsche. Like no one does that. Like you're out driving in the desert and filming it, and it's an action sequence or something. That stuff sells billions of dollars of product. And no one does that in the B2B space. I think my thesis is that that's the future of all B2B, is to move over to a consumer style of advertising. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. Okay, let's see. Martin, I would love to do case study work for one of the biggest construction companies in my country. Should I personally contact the marketing manager, or should I ask someone who knows him to introduce me? Well, if you know somebody who can introduce you, the best thing to do is find out where all three of you can meet. If you want to do so here's the thing. If you want to do business development, and business development can take you a couple of years. So that's why I did the video on hit list marketing. Is you need to have a list of people that you would really like to meet, and they may never, ever become a client. But that doesn't mean you don't try. That doesn't mean you don't go build a relationship with them, because the biggest construction company in your space, well, they may never become a client. I love the fact that you're thinking that way, but they may never become a client. So go build a relationship with these people. If you build a relationship with them, there's a good chance they'll become a client. But if they don't become a client, there's a good chance they'll refer you to someone else. So you end up meeting the marketing manager and you become friends, and then one day they're like, oh yeah, we don't have any projects for you, but I do know this person over at this other company. Go talk to them. I'll introduce you. And then that becomes this thing that like explodes your business. Like your business takes off from that point. So focus on business development, and not like I need to meet just so that I can close this deal, because odds are they don't want what you are offering. So, or at least they don't want it right now. So go into every relationship with any potential client as like, I'm going to befriend these people, and I'm going to stay in touch with them. And then maybe one day their needs and my abilities will line up, and will become a business relationship as opposed to just acquaintances. Okay. Hopefully that was useful. Dustin, how do you know if and when you need to hire a sales copywriter, and where do you find a good one? How do you know when? Well, you needed one before you ever got started, but did you have the money for it? The reality is, you need one as soon as you have the money for it, because everyone needs a better solution than the one that they have available to them right now. So getting a great copywriter of any kind, you needed it before you created your first bit of copy. So that's the answer. It's like, when do you need it? Well, you needed it before today. Finding great talent, and no one has solved this. Not one person on this planet has solved, how do I find a great anything? You need to go and scour places where copywriters exist. Where do they read other copywriting content? Where do they go to conferences? Like that's where you go. You go find where they are. It's just like marketing. If you want to succeed in marketing, you don't create a thing over here and hope that this crowd way over here that's going this way, this crowd's going this way, and you've got a thing over here and you're yelling, hey, come over here, come over here, come over here, right? If you're doing that, only a couple of people will filter over. But if you have this crowd and they're going this way and you put your marketing right here, they're going to run into your marketing. It's the same thing with finding talent. Where are the great people where are they spending their time? What are they reading? So if they're reading an email newsletter, then put an ad in that email newsletter for your job. If they're on a forum, go put an ad in that forum. Follow whatever rules they have, but you go in and that's where they are. And so you put all your marketing messages in front of people. And so you find them. So if your problem is, I need a great copywriter, well, the first thing I would do is make a spreadsheet of, here's a list of where a whole bunch of copywriters are. And then I'll see if I can get in front of those people. So there might be copywriter job boards, which I think there are a couple of them. And then I would, that'd be where I'd start, and just make a list and then see what it's going to cost you time and money to get in front of those people. And then just start testing which one's going to attract the talent that I actually need. That's how you do marketing. That's how you find talent. Okay. Let's see. C. I am not even going to try to pronounce your last name. I've been following several gurus in internet marketing field, and everyone has got his own take on how and where to start learning it. Please tell me your opinion. And as this is a very, I don't know what that actually says. Is a very something complex. It's very complex. Actually, it isn't. Learning is pretty simple. There's only a few things you need to learn. So one thing, stay away from internet marketers. I tell this, my good friend, Miles Beckler, I don't know if he's watching. It'd be great if he was, but every time we hang out, I tell him, stop hanging out with internet marketers. Go hang out with people that are at a much higher level than he is. He's built $1 million business. Well, go hang out with people who have 25 million or $100 million businesses. And so you can start looking at what is necessary to make that leap. So number one, if they focus on internet marketing, don't follow them. Like that's the first thing, is go get a real education, not an internet marketing education. Most of the internet marketing education, you can get the principles down by reading books from the 1960s. Eugene Schwartz, oh gosh, I'm like drawing a blank. Turn around and look. Joe Sugarman from the 1970s and early 80s. Then we have, let's see, Robert Collier. We got Robert Collier. We've got, let's see, Victor Schwab, Ogilvy. If your thing's marketing and advertising, like, go read those people. Go read old Dan Kennedy. Don't read new Dan Kennedy. New Dan Kennedy is just regurgitating a lot of old Dan Kennedy, and most of it's just fluff. His old stuff was harder hitting. Go get an education. Like, when I started, I knew I was never going to Harvard. Like, I just don't have the attention span to do well in college. So I knew I wasn't going to go to Harvard, and I knew I was never going to get an MBA. And so I just looked up the reading list for Harvard Business School, and I got all the books that I could possibly get from my library. I just went in and said, hey, can you get me this list of books? And they sent them, and I read them. And it's like, I read the stuff that super smart MBAs read. So that's what you should do, is go get a real education. You can either pay for a real education, which is crazy expensive and will take you a long time, or you can go read the books that the smartest people on the planet read, and not internet marketers, because they don't read that stuff. They read the fluffy stuff. Okay. That's maybe I'm just cynical, but okay. I'm on a tangent, but this is something I'm really passionate about. Jason Calacanis of This Week in Startups and a bunch of other startup stuff, angel investing and things like that. He was asked to speak at Affiliate Summit West, I believe, back in the early days of This Week in Startups. So that would have been about 6-7 years ago, something like that. And he went there and spoke, and he was like, it's amazing. He's like, I spoke to so many people there who were smarter than all the people in Silicon Valley that I meet with on a daily basis. Yet these people, the best of them at Affiliate Summit, were doing a few $1 million a year. And they were so much smarter than the people in Silicon Valley. But the difference being, the people at the affiliate stuff, Affiliate Summit, and just internet marketers in general, they think like this, and the people over in Silicon Valley think like this. Like, it's such a order of magnitude bigger than the thinking that you'll ever find in internet marketing. So that doesn't mean you should go and try to build $1 billion company. I'm not even interested in building $1 billion company. But my thinking at this level gives you far more opportunities than thinking way down here at this little tiny level. That's why I say stay away from internet marketers. Okay. Ali, what percentage of monthly profit do you suggest I put back into marketing? 20%. 20%, actually, not of profit, of revenue, especially if you're small. Usually, and assuming you're trying to grow significantly, because it's just that question of, like, reinvesting back into my business. I think you should spend about 20% of your revenue on marketing, and become the preeminent authority in your space. Do that. And then at some point you'll be able to start cutting back on that percentage, because you will have built up a foundation of work that will keep attracting people, and you won't have to spend as much money. That's my answer. Okay, Jacob, all of your content is super helpful. You talked in a recent video about sales versus revenue focus, sales versus marketing focus, actually. I'm strongly marketing focused, and I've struggled with the amount of cold calling to do. I hate cold calling. But at the beginning of my career, here's what I did. I dialed 500 numbers a day. Because I was going through a sales training program, and they were heavily focused on cold calling, and that's what I did. I hate it. As soon as I could stop doing it, I did. Should you do cold calling? If you need to eat, like if you need to pay bills today, you need to cold call. If you've got revenue coming in and you can reinvest in marketing, well, do that. But do great marketing. Don't do shitty marketing. Actually do really good marketing. be useful to your market. Do a lot of it. Reinvest heavily back into your marketing. So if you're not getting much results from your marketing, then you've got either a message to market match problem, like your messaging doesn't match with what the market desires. You may have a product market fit, meaning the thing that you're offering doesn't fit with what the market actually desires. You're trying to solve a problem that they don't think they have. And then the other is just you're probably not shipping enough marketing. Like you're probably not advertising enough. You're probably not creating enough content. In today's world, it's impossible to create enough content. So you should be doing a ton. Like whatever you're doing now, like do like Grant Cardone says, and 10x that. Like whatever you're doing right now, do 10 times that amount. And that's probably how you're going to get away from cold calling. Let's see. Trying to decide if I want to go deeper and increase my marketing as ad spend, or if I'm learning. Okay, so that was just like part 2 of the same question. So yeah, that's my answer. Is there a way to sell thinking? So this is from Thomas again. Is there a way to sell just thinking as a copywriter and not doing all the labor, or is there no way around it with being a copywriter? Well, if you call yourself a copywriter, you have to write copy. Call yourself a strategist, marketing strategist, then you sell marketing strategy. So one of an old friend, I haven't talked to him in years, gosh, and he actually doesn't live that far from me. Haven't seen him in years. He was a copywriter, and he moved. He would start off with just the labor of writing copy, and then moved into the strategy behind what the copy's supposed to do. And then eventually that's what he did. He just created the strategy, and then he was the one who hired the copywriters who wrote what he wanted written for his clients. So that's the path you would take. Yeah, that's it. But if you call yourself a copywriter, you must write copy. That's why I don't call myself a marketer, because then everybody like, I want you to do marketing. So I talk about strategy. I talk about being a business coach and things like, and leadership and all these other things is what I talk about. Because then people come to me and go, oh, I need you to solve my big business problems, because that's what I like solving. I don't particularly like to make marketing anymore. Okay. Based on your experience, do you have examples of how much copywriters should charge on okay. No, I don't have examples of, this is a continuation from Thomas's question on copywriting. I don't have because copywriters charge like $10 an hour to $10,000 a page, actually higher than that. So there are some copywriters who end up making millions. A friend of mine, he, on 2 different sales letters, he made like 20-something thousand on one of them and 30-something thousand on the other. Same company, same copywriter, 2 different outcomes. So he got a base fee and then he got a performance fee. So or they call them royalties in copywriting. So he wrote his sales letter, it did well, it ran, and then he got money off of how well it did after that. And so one of them did okay, and the other one did better. So ultimately, they're just like every price point. It's how good are you? Like, can you deliver results? The better results you can deliver as a copywriter, the more you'll make. But then you got to have the self-worth and the confidence to be able to go ask for it in the first place. To be able to ask for, say, $15,000 to write a sales page, right? Do you have that confidence? Like, oh, if you pay me 15 grand, this thing's going to make you so much more than $15,000. And the other part is, if you are working with clients that can't turn copy into money because they don't have an advertising budget, like no one's going to see this copy, well, then it doesn't even make sense for them to pay you 15 grand. So if you, so there's a lot that goes into the business of copywriting. And so the questions that you're asking means you don't understand the business of copywriting. You're working on the skills of copywriting, but you also need to go and learn the business of copywriting. I'm not a copywriter. I've written copy, but I've never been a professional copywriter where that's all I got paid to do was copy. I got paid to create ads and ad campaigns, which included me needing to make copy, write copy, but I've never sold a sales page ever in my entire career. I have friends who have done it, and they comprehend the business. The ones that make plenty of money comprehend the business of copywriting instead of the skill of copywriting. All right. Okay, let's move on. Andy, I'm looking to generate appointment sales quickly to sell projects. I'm based in Spain and looking to target a vertical in the US market for several reasons. Would you cold email be a good way to start? It's not my preferred method, but I don't have a huge budget for advertising right now. Okay, so why is it not your preferred method? So when you're in marketing, and go back to earlier in this where I was talking about making a spreadsheet of different marketing channels, and you're going to make a list of all these different marketing channels, and there's no preference. Like you go where your customers are, not where you want to be. Like right now, I would like to be sitting on a beach somewhere instead of and chilling with a nice cool sea breeze and jumping in the water whenever I get a little too hot, as opposed to being where I'm at right now and it's super hot, right? So my preference is something different than the reality of the market. So your preference really has nothing to do with this. And if you continue to run with that idea of, oh, I don't prefer it, so I'm not going to do it, then you're going to struggle in business. You should get in front of your market. And if, and I don't know if this is even true, if cold emailing is the way to do it, then you do it. So is it a good way to start? Well, probably if you've got a good list, you know that the people you're going to be emailing are people that are inside of your market, then yes, it's a good way of going about it. If it's just a random list of names and emails, absolutely not. So there's that. Then I would start contacting people on LinkedIn, because you can guarantee that that this person is in your market. Whether they're ready to buy something right now, that's another story. But you can contact them and connect with them on LinkedIn and start that way. Both work, and they're both fairly quick at generating appointments. But again, if you go by preference, what you personally prefer versus what your market personally prefers, you'll struggle in business. Okay. Oh, itchy nose. Okay. Now I think I'm down to my last question. Wow, we've been going for a while. It's 9:48. Last question. So I'll open this up for additional questions here in a second, or maybe it looks like this may just be frozen. Cogent Carl, any high ticket sales and negotiation tips? No, not really, because they have no context. So I could throw off a whole bunch of stuff, but they have no context. So what I do with my clients and my business partners is we get on a call and we'll analyze sales calls so that we can figure out, well, what did you do right and what didn't go so well, and what should you say next time? And we take a methodical testing approach. Okay, when I said this person responded very favorably. Okay, I'm going to say that again in all my future ones and see if it still works, or if it was just a one-time thing. A context to negotiation tips and all that stuff is key. So the best thing you can possibly do is read some stuff on sales, and then And then you need to start role playing. You need to get somebody who will be tough on you and hit you with objections. And that way you can start to learn to think on your feet and be able to respond without defense. Like instead of defending yourself, like somebody like, oh, you've only been in business for a year. Why should I hire you? Well, you should hire me because, right? If you start going that way, in the defense mode, you start backing up and you're like putting up your defenses, you're probably going to lose that sale. So you got to find out, well, why is that important to them? Instead, like, don't take offense. And the only way you're going to get good at that is to do it. And instead of doing it with people that could potentially give you money and that you lose that lead, do it with friends so that you can start role playing all the possible objections somebody could have with working with you. That's my best tip and trick, is role play, because everything else is context oriented. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try to reboot and see if there's any more questions. So, because like I need like 2 monitors so I can actually have questions up on here. I don't know why my internet is dead here. Let me switch internet. Oh, itchy nose. What is that saying? Like if your nose itches or something, then somebody's talking about you. I don't know, like old wife sales. Okay, back here. Let's see. Do I have internet access? Okay, yes, there were more questions. I just internet crapped out on my phone. That's so weird. Jacob, hey, amazing answer. You're very welcome, Jacob. Thanks for coming and participating. Sid, when meeting clients as a beginner, how do you make your? I should like look up. Like hopefully you don't mind. I'll do this and I'll like look up instead of me sitting there looking down. You see the top of my head. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like if you haven't figured that part out yet. When meeting clients as a beginner, how do you make yourself look as an authority to win them over, even if you are new? They might ask, what work have you done? You don't have any case studies to show. Okay. Prepare. Like this is something that I see a lot, is a lot of newbies and actually just people in general just don't prepare. They don't prepare for anything. Like when I was getting ready to do this, just to answer questions that I had no idea what was going to pop up, like I prepared for it. Like I started thinking about like, what are some of the things that people might ask me? What would I say? Like I actually do prepare before going into a meeting. So if I'm meeting somebody and I'm worried that they're going to ask me about work, I'm going to have something to show them. Like it doesn't have to be real work. It doesn't have to be stuff that you did for other clients. You can show your own stuff. Like they're meeting you for some reason. And that's always the case. Like if somebody asks you, well, tell me why I need to use you. It's like, well, tell me why you wanted to talk to me in the first place. Like, tell me about what got you to talk to me now. Like you're talking to me, so we don't want to waste this time. So what you're asking is something to assure you, but I'm more interested in what's the problem that you actually want me, that you're having that got you to talk to me in the first place, right? So you felt having this conversation was worth speaking to me. So if I'm worried that somebody's going to ask me about my experience, well, then I'm going to come prepared to answer that question. Like I'm going to create marketing that's available. I'm going to create my own marketing. I'm going to create my own brand. I'm going to create things that I'm trying to sell. I'm going to create my own portfolio before I ever show up in a meeting. So if somebody says, oh, well, what have you done? And you don't have any client work, well, here's my stuff that I've done for myself. The fact that I got you to sit down and talk to me is one of my successes. right? And I've talked to a whole bunch of other people. So I've got, like, I'm brand new. And so those are things you all just prepare for. Okay. Hopefully that answered the question. Curious, Andy McDuff. Curious about mindset. How do you deal with the inevitable setbacks in the early days? For example, getting your first clients, losing clients, etc. That never goes away. I honestly, I don't have like a concise answer, because there's a lot of things that go into this. You have to build up your own self-worth. Well, how do you build up your own self-worth? You need to build your confidence. Well, how do you build your confidence? Which means you got to build competence. The more competent you become at something, the more confident you become. So then the other thing is, so there's all those, and then there's the people who get really crushed by a setback, had unreasonable expectations of what was going to happen. Because if you have expectations on anything, and we all do, we're human, so we're going to have expectations. But if your expectations are unreasonable, they will crush you. You'll be like, oh, this is the most horrible thing that has ever happened in my life. And why? Because you had expectations way up here and your result was way down here. That's when your expectations are so far out of line. And you see this in like the singing competition shows where people are auditioning and someone's going up and they get really mad when they're not chosen, yet they were a terrible singer. Like me personally, it's like, that's got to be fake. It's got to be fake that those people are that mad over being a terrible singer. It's like, how would you ever think you were that good of a singer in the first place? Because you were objectively terrible. I don't know. And I think part of that is expectation. People believe something way up here and put everything into it. And then reality kicks them down here, and then they're crushed by it. I would say you set high goals and find a way to have more realistic expectations. Like don't be so future focused that you lose track of today, and then that will help you adjust to inevitable setbacks, because they never go away. There'll always be failures. So the people the most crushed are the ones who are future focused with big expectations, have big goals, but realize that the reality can kick you in the teeth. So, and then that, if you do that over and over and over again, you'll build confidence, competence, and resiliency. This isn't my specialty. I just know that, like, I've worked on it myself, and I've worked with my clients on this. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. It's just, I just try to find the most practical path to not being crushed by the world. I probably didn't answer your question. Simon, what are your thoughts on dropping service-based client work and creating own digital products based on the services you used to offer? Were you good at those services? Like, so this is my biggest complaint about a lot of the young digital marketing agency and social media marketing agency gurus that I see out there, is that most of them have almost no experience doing the thing that they're teaching people how to be successful at. So if you were really successful at the thing that you used to do, well, then go teach it. It should be part of your company. And I teach this all the time, which is the 3 revenue streams for an agency, which is your core service, whatever the service thing that you used to do, your training division, and then your consulting or coaching division. You need to have all 3 to have a very successful agency. If you just want to sell digital products, well, then you still need to be an expert at those digital products. And there's Oh, actually, you don't. You could just be a liar and go out and sell it, because there's a lot of that. And you could probably, there are several guys out there who've made millions and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I just don't believe in that. So it's not advice I give, but it is possible to not know anything. I would rather you actually know your stuff than go sell the digital products. Leaving services, a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, man, services are really hard, and digital products. The only real difference is you have less customer support in digital products than you have in a service business. So because a service business, most of the money is made in your interactions with your clients. And a lot of people just don't want to put in the effort to have interactions with their clients. They'd rather just treat their clients like they sold them a product and then never talk to them again. So if you're struggling with your service business, then you should probably up your level of customer service. But if you want to go into digital products, do so, but be a master at them, because you're going to struggle at standing out from the crowd if your stuff doesn't actually work. But you're not going to have an you're not going to have an easier business. That's the reality. The grass is not greener in the digital marketing space. One of my favorite channels, The Future, for a little while there, they were creating a lot of stuff on passive income, and it's like, I just had to comment on one of them, which was, yeah, that's a passive income business if you ignore all the business. If you ignore all the stuff that it actually takes to run a business, the income from that digital product is passive. It's not greener. It's just a different type of business, and it will be just as much work as the other one. Okay, but you just may like it better. That's what it really comes down to. Do I like this type of business better than another one? Let's see. Tiago, how would you sell video content creation for businesses when you don't have recording materials? E.g., only sending them scripts. No, wouldn't do it. One of the number one problems with anything in the service world is that your clients won't deliver their side of the agreement. I don't care what it is, like management consulting down to web design. Your client will never deliver the thing that they agreed to deliver. So if you know that going into a business, then what you do is you make sure that they don't ever have to do the thing that they're supposed to deliver. I don't know why web designers don't automatically say, if you want to be my client, you need to let me create the copy. Yeah, I'm going to create all the pages. I'm going to create your videos. I'm going to create all that stuff, because the project will just go on and on and on and on because the client never delivers. So if you're going to be like, I'm just going to send you a whole bunch of crap, they'll never do it. And then they're never going to be happy. Like, you need to make sure that they have a videographer. Like you hire the videographer, you send the script and everything, and you work with videographer and you send that person to them. You don't send them a list of instructions and hope that they're going to succeed. Won't happen. And they won't be happy with you. There you go. That's my answer on that. Andy, great. I'm glad that it was helpful. Let's see, Simon, thanks for the answer. I have more than 10 years in experience in what I do, thinking about packaging as a digital product. Yeah, great. Take that expertise and start easy by creating some training for your clients. Like, there's stuff that you do as your core service, and then there's stuff you could train on that they really need that isn't part of your core service, or mostly just amplifies your core service, makes your core service even more valuable. That's a smart place to start. And you've kind of got a built-in group of people who are willing to give you money. And then if it works, you expand it to a greater market. Do that. That's awesome. Okay. Ahmet, how often do you meet with your clients? I have retainers with some, but I notice it'll be best if I meet them at least once a month in order to keep them happy and the services I provide to continue. Okay, that sounds like two different things. What I do is I sell a particular service, and we have scheduled meetings to help facilitate what I do. If you're doing your core service, let's call it Facebook advertising, you're doing Facebook advertising for somebody, and you're meeting with them monthly, then you're just, covering a report or whatever. That's not the same thing as what I do, because my stuff is all thinking. My stuff is all strategy. It's all the things on how to run a company. The meetings that most agencies do are, hey, let's just go over what we did for you this past month. And nobody cares about that stuff. Your clients don't care about it. You don't care about it. Nobody puts any real effort into those things. And so it's just perfunctory. You're only doing it just so that you don't lose the client. That's terrible. Like that's not customer service. That is not something that's valuable to the client. With quite a few of my clients over the last couple of years that I've been focusing on is changing their account management people over to being business success coaches, where they have a monthly call scheduled to help grow the client business, and not just go over the report like, oh, we did search engine optimization for you. Here's where you ranked before, and now here's where you rank now. Like, nobody cares about that. I can read a report. Like, give me something that I can use to grow my business. Don't just send me a report. If you want to talk to me about how I can do better. Like my clients love getting on a phone with me. Like, they want to talk to me. And most of my clients, their staff struggle to get their clients on a call. Why? Because it's not valuable. If you're bringing real value to a business, everybody's going to be excited to get on the call. I'm excited to get on a call with my clients, and my clients are excited to get on a call with me. If that's not happening in your business, then you need to fix that. Okay, let's scroll down. Can you talk about building an M2C agency? Don't know what an M2C agency is. So BB, you'll have to explain what M2C is. I'm assuming something to consumers. That's marketing to consumers. I honestly have no idea what that is. Okay. Any software SaaS products you recommend for agency client management? No. Every time in 2 decades, I've recommended software, the person uses it and then doesn't like it. So, and then they go use a different piece of software. So I just stopped doing it. Because I don't really like Basecamp. Some people really like using Basecamp. I like working with Teamwork for project management. Other people don't like it. Some people like Asana. Go find what you like. That's it. Because if you like it, you'll use it, and that's the important part. Is will you actually use any of it? Because they all do essentially the same thing. This is a matter of, do I like this one versus do I like that one? It always comes down to that. Something so superficial as, I don't know, do I like it? Like, it's not even something that they can objectively say it's this thing, and this thing is the reason why I want this software versus that one. It's always, I just didn't like that other one, so I just don't recommend any. Which book is your favorite? Martin, which book is your favorite? My favorite, oh gosh, I don't have a favorite. I've got some that I recommend a lot. I guess that'd probably be the question, is like, which one do I recommend a lot? These 2 books right here, not so much this one. This one's got some good philosophy stuff, though I'm more of like a Marcus Aurelius kind of guy. But like these two right here, which is Getting Everything You Can Out of All That You've Got by Jay Abraham, fantastic book, opens up your mind as to what's available to you that you can, profit from. And Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. Those are great books. That's why they're always in these two spots. Okay, BB, I mean manufacturer to consumer. How do we go about building that relationship? Same way you go about building any relationship, just go start meeting them. Like, do everything you can to meet the people that you think you would like to work with. Make your hit list. Like, go watch my hit list marketing video, and go spend time just getting to know people. Hopefully you already have domain knowledge in manufacturing. Hopefully you already know people in manufacturing. Like, one of the best things about doing an agency is you can go specialize in something that you already know something about. And if you don't, well, then now you got to go get yourself an education. Well, what are the needs of manufacturers trying to sell to consumers? Like, there's a lot of domain knowledge you're going to have to go get. And one of the best ways of getting that domain knowledge is just go hang out with manufacturers who are selling to consumers and just start learning. And in the process of learning, you're going to end up befriending people. And then they're going to go, so what do you do? And you'll be like, well, I do this marketing. I do this kind of marketing. And they're like, oh, really? We've been wanting to do that for a while. So how about we sit down and talk? Like, that's how a lot of agencies end up growing, is just going out and meeting the particular people that you would like to work with. That's the best answer I got. So, because I honestly don't know where you sit in your level of experience. Do you know a lot of manufacturers? If you do, and you've got experience in the manufacturing world and you're moving into marketing, well, then you need to get good at marketing. But if you're a marketing person but don't know anything about the manufacturing world, well, then you need to go learn about the manufacturing world. And in the process of learning about that, you're going to just meet people, and stuff will happen. Like, the more people you meet, the more atoms smash together and new things happen. That's what I've seen throughout my whole career. If you don't know anything about manufacturing and you don't know anything about marketing, I'd start with marketing. Go learn about marketing, or whatever the thing is that you really want to do. Go get an education there, and then worry about going and learning about manufacturing after that. Okay. Let's see. That looks like we are at the end of that. We're at another 10 minutes and an hour and 13 minutes. Wow. So, final question. Anybody want to hit me with a question? I'll sit here for a second and see what happens. Oh, I got another one. Man, shouldn't even offer. I should just say, and that's all, folks. Thanks for coming. Okay, here we go. Ahmed, what do you think about income goals? I've taken a step back from them because it got me too focused on the number instead of what's more important in life and with that client. Income goals for yourself or income goals for the client? Because it'd be the client's income goals, and you may not even be able to achieve those. So I'm not sure. I'll assume you mean income goals for yourself. Depends on your personality type. There's certain people that there's a thing called SMART goals. It's an acronym, I think it's called SMART, SMART goals. And that basically they got to be specific, measurable, some other stuff. You can go look that up. Some people do really well with SMART goals. I do well with SMART goals on very minor things. Everything else is process oriented. Like the things that are going to take me years to achieve, the really big things that I want in life, I focus on building a process to get them and not the SMART goal. So like a SMART goal would say, I want $1 million. And so then it's measurable because I either make $1 million or I don't make $1 million. And you can track it if you're making progress towards it. those things I do for like small stuff, things that I can achieve in a short amount of time. Otherwise, it's all process oriented. I focus on process. I found that just my particular personality is that way. But I do know some A-type personality people that everything in their life is a goal, is a SMART goal. It's measurable, and they got a deadline and all this stuff. Like they do that, and it works well for them. I'm not one of those people. So I don't actually have an answer. I would say focus on the thing that you really want in life, and then if that you also want to make money, well, then you've got to find a way to make money with the thing that you really want in life. If you don't really care about money, then just go focus on what you want in life and just be broke. Like, I don't know, kind of hard to be in business and not talk about money and not have money goals. So I don't know. Thomas, last question for me. And yeah, this is going to be the last question, totally the last question. And thank you for answering questions in this video. Yeah, you're very welcome. How would you recommend in learning the strategy of business on the skill I'm trying to master? I hope this makes sense. So go meet people who are successful in what you're trying to do. Like that's the fastest way, is just bypass it. Like I can teach you certain things about running a company, running an agency, but if you want the business of copywriting, I'm the wrong person to talk to. You should go listen to somebody who is actively doing what you're wanting to do, not somebody who did it a long time ago and now they're kind of telling you what they used to do. Like that person's not going to be all that useful. They'll be as useful as I am to you. But go hang out with people who are making really good money as copywriters, because if they're making really good money as copywriters, then they understand the business of copywriting and not just copywriting. So here's the problem. All marketers are liars. So a lot of these copywriters are going to tell, I'm crushing it. I'm crushing it. Well, what do you mean by crushing it? Like how, and a lot of them are going to lie. So you're going to actually have to do some vetting. You're going to have to spend some time getting to know a whole bunch of different copywriters to see how well they're actually doing, and going to conferences where there's copywriters, and until you can actually start comprehending the business side of the copywriting, because there's two different things. There's the labor and the skill, and then there's the business of it, the selling of that skill. And I go do that. And that's the thing, like for everyone, like I've got information I can give you on how to run an agency, how to lead a company, like a lot of stuff I can cover. I can cover a lot of topics, but when it comes down to certain specifics, you should analyze, like, is Tim going to even be able to give me that response? Give me the thing that I actually need. And if the answer is maybe, well, then you come into one of these live questions and you ask, and I'll tell you, like, oh, here's what I think. And otherwise, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you to go find somebody who does know what you're after. Okay. That's how everyone who's teaching you anything, you need to analyze, can they actually give me the answers that I need? And then you go to those people. And if the answer is no, then you don't listen to them. If the answer is yes, then you listen to them. And then you do your best to be as valuable to them as you possibly can to make it worth them answering all your questions. That's what I got for you. And that's what I want you to do with me and with anyone else that you're watching or reading. Analyze whether or not they can help you specifically. And if they can't, go find the people. And some of these people are not going to be on YouTube. They're not going to be writing blogs. They're going to be at conferences. They're going to just be somebody who does the job. And you're just going to meet them face to face, because they're not doing stuff on the internet because they're just so busy crushing it doing what they do. So that's what I got for you. Thank you, everybody. Everybody for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. If any questions come in after this, because this was the last one, post it in the comments, not in the live section, but in the comments that are going to show up after this. And I'll do my best to answer you there. And thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. We'll see you in the next video. All right. Bye, everybody.